So, I don't know if you can tell, but I really like Monster High. Like, I really, really like Monster High. It was a formidable, it was a very integral part of my childhood. And this isn't even my whole collection. There are more that I am staring at right in front of me. There are some in the downstairs land. I have the distinct feeling that I am missing some of them. But I don't think I am. I think that's just my brain being wrong. I could be wrong, though. Who knows? Regardless, I absolutely adore Monster High. Over the years, though, and now that I am older and wiser, I realized that they did not get to every monster that they could have before restarting twice. Generation 2 barely exists, though, so we'll just side-eye that one. And Generation 3 is still coming out as we speak. So I would like to pitch monsters that did not happen in Generation 1 or 2 to appear in Generation 3. That's what this is. Listen to me ramble about monsters and mythological creatures and folklore creatures and cryptids that I think are cool that never got a chance in Monster High. We're gonna start with some cheaters because we know these exist. We know these monsters exist in the canon of Monster High. However, we have never seen them before. And one of them is from a Lost movie. How did I have to learn about the Lost Monster High movie while looking up a list of Monster High characters? That way I could have a full list of which monsters have and have not appeared in Monster High. This is the list, by the way. Starting with the cheaters is the centaur from Greek mythology. We know that centaurs exist in Monster High universe because Ava Trotter is the hybrid offspring of a centaur and a harpy. Look, we barely scraped past with getting the harpy representation because there is a background character that is a harpy. That's it. I did count background characters. I did not, however, rewatch the entire webisodes to look at all of the background characters. I did just take this straight from the wiki, so I could be wrong. There could have been a background centaur character that the wiki did not mention. I doubt it. I feel like I would have remembered that. But my memory is incredibly spotty. At best. And you will see that later on in this very list. So we continue on. Harpies barely got representation, otherwise they would be on my list of monsters that I would like to see. I would like to see more of the harpy monsters, though. Centaurs, however, have never been seen, but we know they exist, thanks to Ava Trotter's existence. Another hybrid monster is Nathan Rot. He is the son of a zombie and a unicorn. You guys already know that zombies are there, okay? What does the unicorn look like? Because, Nathan has 2 legs. Ava Trotter is the hybrid daughter of a centaur, and she has 4 legs. That would imply that unicorns have 2 legs. Which I want to see that design. I want to see the unicorn design. I'm so curious. This one bothers me on a personal level that we never got to see what the unicorn looks like. Moving on, this one's from the books. His name is Three-Headed Freddy. And saying it out loud, without any context of what the books are, you would think he's a Hydra, right? No, I don't think so. From what I remember, and again, my memory is very spotty, so if I'm wrong, we blame that. It's not very good at remembering things. It is good at remembering weird details, which is why I can almost confidently say Three-Headed Freddy was described as just like a normal person with just 1, 2, 3 heads that each had a different emotion kind of thing, or like a different brain. There's a weird subsection, and we don't see it often, of monsters at Monster High that are just humans with deformities. And like, I don't know what to categorize that as. What is Kipling? What is this man? Elephant ears? How is that? I'm confused. I am confused about him. Is he a monster? Is he a normie? I don't know. I think he's just a normal human person with a deformity, so like, kind of weird. Alright, enough about deformities. This ghoul, her name is Yuna. She was supposed to appear in the Lost Monster High movie. We do have the concept art for her. She is a komiho from Korean mythology, and komiho is a half fox, half human creature, and we almost had her. We were this close. I would have loved to see her in the movie. I would have loved to see this movie. I'm gonna have to do more research into this movie, because right now all I know is that she's in this. Yuna was supposed to be in it and got cut. I'm so curious. Now that we have the list of cheaters out of the way, we can get to my actual list of monsters that were never seen at Monster High, but I really wish they were, and I am pitching for future Monster High. I classified what monsters I found that I wanted in Monster High, and I separated them into a list of background characters, so they can just be walking in the background and I'd be fine. Sort of like the Harpy. One-off. So like, they could be a one-off character, a one-off bit for a webisode. I am basing this all off of Generation 1 Monster High, because I haven't actually consumed any of the webisodes from Generation 3 yet. So in my mind, it's operating similar to that, where you can have like a 3-minute episode where just a contained story happens there, or like a contained little goof happens there, and that's what I call the one-offs. After that, we have characters that I firmly think should get a doll. No matter how small of a part they play, okay? Like, I don't even remember her name. It's a cat pun, I know that, and she's an artist from France. Sorry, from Scaris.
Yeah, hi, hello. Editing Pterodactyl here. Her name is Katrine Demille, and I did in fact know that. I just doubted myself, like a coward. Never doubt yourself, you'll end up looking stupid and have to film a mid-video editing note.
That's what level we're dealing with in the doll category. And then my last category is I want these characters, these monsters, to have a doll, and I want them to appear in a Monster High movie. So like Rebecca Steam is the Monster High movie of the Friday Night Frights. Like, I want them to appear for the first time in that movie, maybe be like the main selling point of that movie, you know? And then from there, they can reappear at the school. Yeah. Starting off with, I am cheating right off the bat, because there is no, like, basis for this monster that I can find. However, I think it's really funny to have a background character whose head is just a hand. You know, kind of like Thing from the Addams Family, but they have a whole body. I don't remember where I got this thought from, but I think it's funny, and I think it should exist as a background goof. Next, we have Bugbear. We are back on the track of these exist somewhere in folklore or mythology or cryptids. Bugbear is technically a boogeyman, which we do have covered by Twyla. One thing about Bugbear is that he is a bear-shaped boogeyman. Also, while researching, like, this is the picture on the Wikipedia page for Bugbear, and I don't know what to do with this information. Like, what? What is this statue? I don't understand what I am looking at. So I had to share it with all of you. Congratulations, you are now cursed with this knowledge. Probably should have looked up how to say some of these names, but it's too late now. I'm using my phone to record, and my computer... Yeah, it's too late now. I'm already recording, and if I stop now, I will lose all energy to record, and then it will take me another week. I've been trying to film this video all weekend, so... The Mapingari? I don't know what is up with Brazil, but they have some absolutely great cryptids. Even their Bigfoot is built different than other Bigfoots, you know? So, the Mapingari is the guardian of the rainforest. And it's a hairy cyclops creature with a mouth on its stomach. What? I don't know what else to do with this information, but I do think it would be really funny to have this guy in the background. Just a monster cyclops with a mouth on its stomach. That is funny. I want it. I want it as a background character. This one's also coming from Brazil. We have Curupira. I really should have looked up how to say words. Curupira. This one is a hairy monster with backwards feet. Oh yeah, also, the Mapingari, it also has backwards feet for some reason. I don't know why this is a common thing with these Brazilian cryptids, but it is. The Curupira has red hair that can apparently spontaneously combust. And I think that's a good gag for, like, you think it's just like just a blob of hair, and then it gets spooked, and suddenly it's on fire. I want it. Good background gag. Charufe. I don't know if I'm saying that right. This one comes from the Mapuche. I also don't know if I'm saying that right. People of the south central Chile, or Chile. These are magma monsters, and I think tying them to, like, a magma monster that actually, like, exists somewhere is cool. And a magma monster just makes sense for the background of Monster High. Moving on. Monopod! Can you guess what this one is? Can you guess? Single-legged person. And I'm not talking like you had a leg amputated. No, from the waist down is just one long foot. Like, one long leg and a foot, okay? Okay? That's what we're talking about. It's like a mermaid for the land. But you're hopping everywhere still. This one's actually really cool. And I hate to just put it as a background character, but I think it would have to be a background character just for, like, logistics-wise. Manananggal, we're going with that, is a vampire from the Philippines. The Manananggal detaches its torso from its legs, and then its torso grows bat wings to fly off and get victims. I do just want to see a flying torso around the halls of Monster High. That is so classic Monster High, you know? I'm surprised it hasn't happened already. I do also want the one-off gag of somebody's, like, doing a chase scene or something, and they run right into the legs, which will not move once they're detached. And that's the gag. The legs just stand there still, and the person gets back up and continues running. I'm very specific with my gags. I want funny jokes that only appeal to me specifically. Coming in from Mesopotamia is the Scorpion Man. So, like, I'm thinking just like a... Oh, she doesn't have her tail. I'm thinking like just like a regular monster, kind of like the cats with the tail, but it's a scorpion tail. It could be a doll. I imagine it would just be a background character of a person with a scorpion tail. Cactus Cat! You do not know the thrills of life until you are searching through a very long list of mythological and folklore and cryptid creatures, and coming upon Cactus Cat and getting the luxury to click on it to see what is happening. Why is a Cactus Cat on here? Also, I want the canonical design for the Cactus Cat to be the illustration by Margaret R. Tryon. I think I'm saying that right. It has to be based on this image. This is just screaming great design. This is perfect. This is exactly what I imagine when you say the words to me, Cactus Cat. Good job, Margaret. I applaud you. This art is definitely the only other reason, aside from the name Cactus Cat, which is really funny. This art is the only reason why I included Cactus Cat, because I'm actually not a fan of cacti. I've seen too many in my life. I don't get it. Cactus Cat does not have main character energy, though. Like, they are a background character, and they're owning it. Drop Bear. Okay, you have to bear with me on this one. I saw Drop Bear, and it hit me. And I was like, oh my gosh. This throws me back. It's like a year or so ago. I was very much more active on Tumblr and in the Linked Universe fandom, and somebody did a headcanon where drop bears canonically existed in Hyrule, but only one specific time of Hyrule. And so everyone was like, drop bears don't exist. Drop Bear. Anyway, I want it to be a running gag where Drop Bear drops down from nowhere and onto somebody. If you don't know, drop bears are an Australian, tall tale, I guess, is the best way to put it, about a koala that drops down and tries to kill you. I think. Again, I was too wrapped up in the emotion of, why is the first time I heard about this from a Linked Universe fanfiction? Which is fanfiction of a fanfiction. I love it. I love that so much. The Loveland Frog. This is the only good thing to come out of Ohio as far as I'm concerned. I wanted to put a frog creature in this. However, every time I looked up Frogman, all I got was the D&D thing. The D&D monster, which was, if I want to play one in D&D, then yes, I now know what I am looking for. However, for this specific video, I decided not to pull from D&D because that is just opening a vault door that should not be opened at this specific time. Anyway, thank you, Ohio, for having the Loveland Frog. That's hilarious. Ippotane. I think I'm saying that right, from Greece. It's a reverse centaur. Horse head. Human body. I think that's enough said. That's just classic background visual gag. An imp. How has it been 14 years of Monster High existing? Oh my gosh, Monster High is 14 years old. Monster High, if it was a human person, would be entering high school about now. I don't like the passage of time. What was I saying? Right, it has been 14 years of Monster High, and we have never once had an imp? I don't know how that's possible. Imps are so Monster High coded. I don't know, maybe it's because when I hear imp now, I think of Impidimp from Pokemon, but the idea of an imp should already exist in Monster High. I imagine that they will be background characters who are constantly pulling tricks on people. Maybe they'd get their own episode. But yeah, that's that. Now we can move on to my list of monsters that I think would be a one-off joke. We're actually going to start with one of the monsters that I have a false memory for, there will be 2 of them. This is the first one. I swear, I remember seeing a Sphinx in Monster High. When I think about it a little bit harder, maybe it was an item they were interacting with at Cleo Denial's house. But I've seen a Sphinx in Monster High. I just do not have the time to look for it at the moment. Editing me will definitely find out what I'm talking about. I would like to see a Sphinx in Monster High. Probably give her an episode. I don't know what that would be. This is one of the ones where I don't have a pitch for a one-off episode. But we continue on. Hear me out on this one. I know that Slender Man is a very new monster. I also know that Slender Man has a dark history. But looking past the attempted murder for the moment, let's just talk about how funny it would be for Slenderman's daughter, still dressed in the suit and tie, mind you, no face, probably like white hair or no hair, and I want her to either be a constant background gag of she's in one shot of the background and then gone the next, and that's the whole thing, is just spot Slenderman's daughter, or actually, because this would also work, for whatever reason, the ghouls are trying, that's how I refer to the gang, as the ghouls, just stick with me on that one. The ghouls see the Slenderman's daughter chasing after this group of children, and they keep on stopping Slenderman's daughter, only for at the end of the episode they learn she's their babysitter. If you don't get the joke, in the original image for Slenderman, there was like a caption that was something along the lines of, "We didn't want to do it, he made us," or something like, "We didn't want to go with him, but we did." So I want to bring that part of the lore back. Not in a weird way though, but I think it would be funny if, because of the original one having like, oh, these children were mind controlled, maybe kidnapped, to have Slenderman's daughter then be a babysitter for hire. I think that'd be funny. This one's also a good one-off episode where they have to interact with a lizard person. And I want this lizard person's entire shtick to be that they have a wall of conspiracies about the normies, these being what monsters call humans. Yeah, I want to Uno reverse people having conspiracy theories about lizard people into the lizard person having conspiracies about the humans. That's it, that's the joke, moving on. El Chupacabra I understand why they never put El Chupacabra into Monster High, because it is the question of what does it look like, which is very hard to tell. From what I can tell, it is just a dog with mange. The only reason El Chupacabra is on this list, aside from it being a classic monster, is that I have a killer pun for the name. El Chupacabra's daughter, her name is Ella Cabra. I think I'm funny. I think I'm clever. For her design, it'd kind of be like any of the werewolves, but spiky. Spiky werewolf. That's what I'm going with. This one I actually have a really, really solid idea for a one-off episode for. The Selkie is a shape-shifting seal, where she can take off her skin and become a human, and then put back on the seal skin and be a seal again. So, for one episode, I want the joke to be that there is a wild seal on the loose at Monster High, and the ghouls are trying to catch the seal. But every time, they keep on running to a dead end where they should have the seal caught, but instead, there's just a ghoul, a girl, that's Monster High for girl, who's there, and she's like, "Oh, no, sorry, I haven't seen anything," and walks away. Notably, this ghoul has a seal coat. like draped around her arms kind of a thing. And by the end, they finally corner the seal just in time to see it take off its coat and turn into the ghoul and be like, sorry, didn't mean to trick you like that, but how could I resist? And then she goes about with her day, and you see her as a background character from then on. An echidna. So yeah, later on the list, I do have a naga, which is a snake person. But right now, for echidna, she is a snake person. But I found this weird statue where instead of like one snake tail, she has like two that are kind of like legs. I'll have it up on screen, but like it weirded me out a little bit. But it also gave me the idea of her walking on the snake legs like they were legs. Anyway, the actual reason I want echidna on here is that I want her to have a pet echidna. The animal. That's it. I just really think echidna's daughter or son with an echidna is hilarious, and I want it, please. Thank you. Don't worry about it. Don't even question this. So, where was I? Right, my next monster, for monsters that I would like to be added, this one would be a one-off. I believe that's where I was, yeah. We're in the one-off category, and, this is my first ever Monster High doll. It's Laguna. I love her so much. She gets the privilege of being in my hand. She is very well loved. Right, where was I? This next one is really funny. And is definitely me picking favorites. And I think you'll agree that this is really funny when you know what creature I'm actually describing. Try to guess in the comments before I say it. So, the questing beast, or the beast of Gallistant, is a beast from Arthurian legend that I'm like pretty sure was from a dream sequence? I don't know. Kind of weird. But let me give you the description of this thing and see what you think it is. Let me just get my handy dandy notebook because I have written it down in this. I'm an adult. I can spend my money however I want. Head of a snake, body of a leopard, haunches of a lion, and feet of a hart. Hart meaning deer, so hooves. Now, when you see the art of the questing beast, it looks really cool, and a cool chimera that you've never seen before. Now, think about it, and guess in the comments, what beast are they describing? Because it's a real-life animal. If you guess giraffe, you're correct. It's a giraffe!
You guys say Colorado! I'm a giraffe!
The fact that it's a giraffe means that I can't not include the questing beast onto my list of monsters that I would like to see in Monster High. No clue what the one-off would be, but I do know that there's two ways to take the design. One, go off of the art that's taking its description at face value. Or two, you do a 2-for-1 and give me a giraffe centaur. I'm just saying, it's right there. It's perfect. A giraffe centaur is so good. We're going back to Brazil for this one. The capolobo is a Brazilian creature that is hilarious. Like, it's kind of like a Bigfoot werewolf. No, it's described as like a werewolf. However, it doesn't transform at the full moon. So it's kind of more like a werecat in terms of Monster High. The werewolves act the same way where they don't transform at the moon, so think werewolf, I guess. Think Monster High werewolf. But most importantly, instead of a wolf, this is a man combined with a tapir, also known, aka, an anteater. I don't know if they're the same thing, but anteater and tapir were used kind of synonymously in the wiki, and I don't want to look up animals. That's boring. I want to look up monsters. At the smallest, a capolobo is 6'7". I can't even imagine. That's so tall. It has the face of an anteater. It has hooves, and it has claws. That is just such a good combination. I love all of it. And I want to see it done in the Monster High style. This is a challenge to Mattel and to anyone with artistic talent out there. Draw a Capolobo in the Monster High style. Do it. Do it. You won't. Cowards. Do it. I'm sorry for calling all of you cowards. As a apology, here is my rendition. I haven't drawn it yet, but I don't think it's going to be that good. Look at my art skills. I'm the best. Just so you know, I did cheat with the art that I did. I have this book, and I used none of the outfits, though. However, I did use Venus McFly as a base. Jack-o'-lanterns! Can you believe that we have not had a jack-o'-lantern in Monster High? Like, how? How? It's iconic. It's Halloween. This is what Monster High is made for. I readjusted my light. Hopefully you can see me better now. But, like, this is another of the Sphinx situations for me where I have the distinct memory of seeing a jack-o'-lantern at Monster High, in Monster High. And I just, like, for both the jack-o'-lantern and the Sphinx, I see it in my head. I see them in the Monster High style. For the jack-o'-lantern, I even see the scene that they're in, where, like, their pumpkin head is getting tossed back and forth between two other dudes. Though maybe that was a skeleton? I don't know. I don't have the time in my life to go back and rewatch everything yet. I will update you if I find what on earth I am thinking about. But, yeah, the fact that a jack-o'-lantern has not appeared in Monster High is outrageous. Give me the jack-o'-lantern. Her name shall be Jackie Lantern. It's not very original, but it's a great pun name, and that is what Monster High is all about. Friendship and puns. Anyway, this is the Alp. I know what it is. This is a German vampire creature. Though, like, it's kind of more of a boogeyman, if we're being honest. It does drink blood, though. It also causes nightmares. The Alp is the explanation for sleep paralysis. Because the Alp will cause bad dreams, and then you're paralyzed, and then it will suck your blood. Alps usually cause just general mischief, but the most important thing about the Alp is its hat. The hat, called Tarnkappe, or Tarnkap, I don't know how to say German words. This hat is the source of all of their power, and it also turns them invisible. So yeah, this hat is very important, and if they lose it, they will pay a great deal of money to get it back. So for a one-off episode, I either want one of the core ghouls to be plagued by just constant bad luck, only to at the end reveal that it's an Alp that has been invisible the whole time, and it goes, ha, got you good, now to my next target. And that's it. Never see them again. Or, I want the Alp's hat to go missing, and the Alp gets the ghouls to go find it for them for a large prize. Those are my two ideas. I will not be taking criticism at this time. A Fudakuchi Onna from Japan. This is a yokai, which yokai are kind of like spirits in Japan, and there are a lot of them. Like a lot. This one specifically is a pretty woman with a second mouth on the back of her head that's usually covered by her hair. And it's usually caused, from what I can tell, it's usually caused by like a girl starving herself kind of deal to like maintain the figure, which is absurd. Hence, the second mouth appears. And if the second mouth is not fed, then it will control the hair and it will feed itself. Yeah. I don't want this ghoul's story to be about food in any way, shape, or form. I just want her to be helpful to the ghouls. And also there's a second mouth at the back of her head. And maybe for funsies, have the second mouth talk. I think that'd be cool. Also have her like hair magic thing going on as like protection or something. I don't know what the plot would be, but it would be cool. I think the Furukuchi Onna would be a fun just addition to like the background characters and like secondary characters is what I should say. Going over to Ukraine. So whenever initially looking this one up, it was under the name Mavka. However, the specific version that I would like to see in Monster High is called the Nyavkas. Hope I'm saying that right. They are very similar entities, but Nyavka is more of a specific one. So it's kind of like a rectangle square situation. All Nyavkas have the same traits as a Mavka, but Nyavkas are slightly more specified because a Nyavka has no back, meaning that you can see her skeleton spine, which is so cool. These are Ukrainian forest spirits that are the spirits of young women who met an untimely demise, which if you're me, you jump instantly to murder. But also, like, illness can kill people, so, like, I guess we don't have to jump to the violent conclusions, but let's be honest, we all thought of murder at first. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. Usually, the Nyavkas will lure in men to the forest and then eat them, which honestly, a lot of monsters like to eat human people, so this is completely normal. Justified behavior for a monster. However, there is this very specific thing that they will do. They will also watch over farms and, like, protect the cattle and keep any predators away from the farms, which is just surprisingly wholesome, and I wasn't expecting it. Like, I was reading that and I went, plot twist? But, yeah, so specifically, I want the Nyavkas with the cool spine back thing. So in the front, she looks like a normal girl, but then in the back, you see her spine, and that'd be so cool. Especially in the Monster High style, I think that would be great. I don't actually have a pitch for this. However, I do want her to be like a farm girl. Like, my brain instantly goes to, like, a cowgirl. However, she doesn't have to be because she's from Ukraine. Like, her origin is in Ukraine, so maybe more that style of farmer. Or cowgirl. It could go either way, and I would accept both. But the spine is the most important part. The Leshy. This one's very specific. It's coming from Slavic mythology. So this guy is the ruler over forests, and may or may not be associated with, like, a forest god deity kind of a thing. He can shapeshift, which is very annoying for when you're trying to conceptualize a Monster High character, because shapeshifting is just, you can make them whatever you want, and that's not what we're going for. We're going for a unique character design here, okay? Just work with me. Stop making everything a shapeshifter, please. I know it's convenient, but please stop. The Leshy is known to mislead any wanderers, which is fun. I always love that aspect. And his attitude changes depending on how the person he's interacting with interacts with the forest. So, if you are a terrible person who just messes up the forest for funsies, you're gonna get his wrath. If you are a very nice, peaceful person who wants to live in harmony with the forest, you will be treated nicely. That's what I got from reading his lore. So I want his daughter to be a mushroom-covered wood nymph for the aesthetic. And for her one-off episode, or like a series of episodes, I want our group of ghouls to get lost in a forest by Monster High. And that's when the Leshy's daughter appears. I'm thinking her name is Lisha or something. Lisha Leshki. That could be fun. And she tries to help the ghouls find their way back to Monster High. But she accidentally keeps on getting them more lost. And unfortunately, because she's bad with directions, she's not doing this on purpose. She's just really bad with directions. Eventually, though, the ghouls are just like resigned to their fate. They're gonna camp out in the woods for the night. Only for the morning, they wake up and they are at the front gates of Monster High. And they have a note with them. And the note says something like, thanks for hanging with me, visit again. And that's the end of Leshki's story. Next up, we have a creature whose name I have absolutely no idea how to pronounce. I am so sorry. The Patuparehi? Patuparehi. We're going with that. The Patuparehi comes from the Maori, I hope I'm saying that right as well, people of New Zealand, and their legends. So this is kind of like a fairy from New Zealand, like a fae folk from New Zealand. Their thing is that they have fair skin and either blonde or red hair, and sunlight will kill them. They usually are nocturnal or appear with a heavy fog or mist. My idea is that for this episode, a thick fog engulfs Monster High to the point where, like, you can't even see your hand in front of you. And it's a mess. And the ghouls are trying to find the solution. Like, why is this fog here? Only to find out that the new ghoul, who is a Patuparehi, has caused this fog because she's afraid of the sun and that it will kill her. So the solution is they give her some of Draculaura's SPF 3000 or whatever it is. And from then on, she's safe from the sun, and the fog can go away, and she's just in the background at Monster High now. No clue what the design would be. That's my downfall. I don't know how you would design a lot of these. Valraven, or Valraven, as my brain wants to say. The Valraven is from Danish folklore, and it is a regular raven up until it eats the corpse of a knight. After that, it gains supernatural powers and, like, human-level intellect. The Valraven's ultimate goal is to eat the heart of a child, so that way it can transform into a knight. It's kind of messed up, but I'm rooting for them. So for our Monster High ghoul, I want her to be a suit of armor with, like, feathers. A feathery suit of armor. How cool is that? How rad would that be? I want it. I want it so bad. We don't have to touch upon the fact that this ghoul would have in her past had to eat the heart of a child. We'll just skim past that. You know, we don't have to cover it. Just like we don't have to cover the fact that technically Frankenstein is a bunch of dead body parts put together. We don't have to cover it. Don't even worry about it, okay? We also don't have to cover how do ghosts work. Spectra has 2 parents. I'm confused. That is my list of one-off characters. Now we get to the characters who I demand a doll for. That's my pen. For these ghouls, I demand a doll. At least. It's what they deserve. We're going to start off with another creature that I am surprised never existed in Monster High, because it feels like it should have. You know, it felt very easy to add this one. So the fact that they didn't kind of makes me go, what? Why? Why not? Not even as a background character? What the heck? A satyr from Greek mythology. Goat person. Human top half, goat bottom half, and, like, we know from, like, the werewolves and the werecat that they could, like, do more with it. And you could make an argument that in Monster High 13 Wishes, in the opening, there was, like, this deer creature. I think her name was Fawn. You could argue that she was a satyr. I disagree, though, because she has more of a deer look to her, you know? She looks more like a deer person, so I don't count Fawn. I want an actual satyr, and I want her to have a doll because I want the cool little hooves. And with how Generation 3 does it, where they can stand on their own, I think that would be easier. Like, the hooves would make good balancing points, you know? The Will-O-Wisp, or Will-O-the-Wisp. Did you guys know that Will-O-Wisps are just a different variation of a jack-o'-lantern? Because I didn't! So the shared story for the Will-O-the-Wisp and the jack-o'-lantern is that either a guy named Will or a guy named Jack was not good enough to get into heaven. And for whatever reason, he was also barred from Heck. So, they have to, Will or Jack will now roam the mortal plane on fire because they were a bad person, and roam the mortal plane forever, just as fiery spirits. The only difference between Will and Jack is that Will accepts his fate and continues to be a spectral fiery ghost, whereas Jack wants a head. So, originally he takes a turnip, carves a face into it. Later on, it will become a pumpkin that he carves a face into, and he will wear that as a hat to mark where his face is. That's the only difference between them. Jack does have, more of a longer lore story to him. Will is just that little bit. I believe in the original he was a blacksmith? Don't quite know. But, for my pitch, I want this school's name to be Willow. Will-O-Wisp, it's right there. It's such a good pun. And as I said before, half of Monster High is about the puns. I want her to be a little bit tricksy. I want her to be a fiery ghost. And look, I know we already have a lot of ghosts, but a fire ghost is so cool. And the blue fire too, that's so cool. Why didn't we have this already? We had an entire movie about ghosts. Why wasn't a Will-O-the-Wisp included? Sometimes I look at the order that I put things and I have to laugh because for a normal person, why would you put these two next to each other? That's just jumping from one to an extreme. From a trickster being to cosmic horror. That's right, I want a cosmic horror monster. I specifically put down Cthulhu, but any cosmic horror being will work. I specifically want this. 1, because Zoe from Monster Prom is a very good idea for a monster creature. And 2, I think it's really funny for a cosmic horror to then be put into the position of having to go to the very worldly horror that is high school. I know Monster High is a great place, but high school is terrible, okay? And I think a cosmic horror being, subjected to that and being this is worse than anything I could have ever thought of is hilarious. Next, we're going back to Japan. I've noticed that there are not a lot of bird monsters in Monster High, which is kind of a crime. So from Japan, we're going to pull out the Tengu, which are bird, monkey, human people. Looking at the art, I don't see the monkey, but it's fine, I don't have to. The most important part of this school is her wings, okay? Traditionally, Tengus have a large, long nose that's beak-like. You do not have to incorporate that into her doll. That does not have to be a part of her face. However, I do want her to have a mask accessory that is that, because I think that's cool and is a good way to pay homage to the original design while still keeping her the basic face shape, you know? Also, Tengu are usually really good swordsmen, and so I want her to have a sword. I want her to have a sword! A Tengu is so cool. Such a cool bird person design. I want it. Give it to me. Give it to me, Mattel. This next one. I don't have a specific monster to pull from, however, haunted dolls exist, okay? That's something ingrained in the consciousness of people, right? Longtime haunted dolls. So I want a haunted puppet. More specifically, I want a haunted marionette doll, and I want the doll to be an actual marionette. That would be really cool and fun. Even if it's just a collector's thing, I do count collector's dolls as canon. Not all of them. Me and my friend had a whole debate about this. We decided that of the crossover collectors, Skulltimate Collector Edition dolls, that only the Gremlins, Creature from the Black Lagoon, and the Pennywise It doll were canon. They were different enough from their initial movie appearance that we can consider them canon. And that is my rule for the crossover monsters. They have to be different enough from their original design. So, like, the Shining twins, those are just straight up doll makes of the original, so they don't count. Neither do Morticia or Wednesday Addams. They're just too close to the original. Same with the new Hocus Pocus dolls that will come out. Haunted Marionette doll is so cool. I want an actual, like, marionette style thing. That's why this one gets doll and not background character, because the idea of a Monster High marionette is so cool. I want it. I would buy it. I know that you could say that we already have a haunted doll in Hoodooed Voodoo, but he's a voodoo doll, and that's very different. This is a haunted doll. This is like a ghost decided, this doll is my home now. You can't make me leave. And that's what I want in a marionette. Why did I separate two Japan monsters by the marionettes? Why am I like this? We're gonna go back to Japan with the Oni. These are Japanese demons, and one of the best ways I think that Monster High could include a demon-like monster, because Monster High doesn't have any devils, and like, a devil feels too malicious for Monster High, you know? So I feel like an Oni is a good compromise of getting that, like, devilish look without going full devil. Same with imps. I forgot to mention that earlier with the imps, but, like, imps are also, like, devil creatures. So both would be good representations for the want of a demon without actually going into the devilish territory. So anyway, Oni are just like iconic for Japan monsters. Like, I think the only one that's more iconic is, you know, Godzilla. And for like Japanese folklore creatures, I guess maybe the kitsune would be more popular as well. But I don't know. I think Oni are up there. I have not researched this. This is just based on my opinion. For this Oni, I want them to be twins, and I want a red one and a blue one. Have them have polar opposite personalities. That's it. That's all I've got for my Oni pitch. I'm sorry that a lot of these are like shorter, but for the doll ones, I just really want a doll of them. And so I don't have any like pitch or an idea of how they would incorporate. Whereas the one-offs, I don't want a doll for them necessarily, but I do have a story idea for them, usually. From Cornish folklore, we have the Owl Man. This is more of a cryptid, and if I would say it's anything, I'd say it's the European Mothman. So this one is an owl that is as big as a man, and has pointed ears, and this is just an owl. Like, it was first spotted by 2 kids. Yeah, this is just an owl, guys. That said, I will not deny anyone the privilege of having a cryptid, so I will accept this. And I think it would be fairly easy because we already have like an owl model, which is Gulia's pet owl. And I think it would be cool. Really go for that pointy ear look too, like kind of make it Batman-like. This one is another boogeyman, but it is a very specific boogeyman. I want the Babadook's daughter, specifically because I want the top hat. I think the top hat wearing boogeyman is hilarious. I have nothing else to say. That's all I have. I'm so sorry. I want the Babadook's daughter at Monster High for the top hat aesthetic. Another monster who I am confused how we have not had one in Monster High yet. Like, how? Guys, this is classic Halloween imagery right here. A scarecrow. How did you not come up with a monster based around that? Come on, guys. Mattel, you're slacking. I want a scarecrow ghoul. And yes, it is another haunted object similar to Hoodooed Voodoo, but different. I want the so like the scarecrow has one of 2 options for it. Either it has very long stilt legs kind of a deal going on, or the funnier option, go Howl's Moving Castle turnip head in direction, where they have to hop everywhere on just one stick. I think that's comedy gold. Logistically, if you were gonna make like a doll for it, you would want the 2. Maybe I should have put this in a one-off or background. But I want a scarecrow ghoul, like, for my collection. I would love that doll. Me and my friends would love that doll. Now we have Zhu Bajie, also known as Zhu Waeng. Sorry, I can't say words. This is the pig character from Journey to the West. I think a pig monster is very good for Monster High. Because one, pig monsters are cool looking, and two, Minecraft has the piglins, and so they can kind of ride the like coat tails of Minecraft a little bit if they introduce a pig doll. I think that would work very well for them. That said, for character-wise, I kind of am split between her being like the opposite of Zhu Waeng, or like being the same as her father. Like, I don't know which one's better. But for like, my gut feeling is that this school would either clash super hard with Cleo Denial or like kind of bring out the worst in Cleo Denial. Like they were like childhood friends maybe, and then like time away, and then they come back together and it brings out the worst of Cleo in like a weird way. And so like Cleo has to fight against that, and I think that's an interesting dynamic to use. And I think she would be fun. Am I biased towards pig monsters? Yes, look at my shirt, people. I am biased towards the pig now, okay? I'm not alright. The Feng Huan. The Feng Huan is a mythical Chinese bird, which is akin to the phoenix. Usually this bird has more like of the feminine energy from what I read. Though in later depictions there are two of them, one with the masculine energy and one with the feminine energy. It's a whole thing. Usually the Feng Huan represents spiritual bodies, like the sky, the sun, the moon, the stars. Also the earth is one of them. It also has the 5 fundamental colors, which are black, white, red, yellow, and green. I don't know why. I did not look more into that. But, like, there we go. We have her color palette. And as I was saying earlier in the Tengu, I want more bird monsters. And I think the Feng Huan would be a lovely addition. Like, we have Jennifer Long as the dragon. And now I want to see the bird, the phoenix of China. I think she would be beautiful. I want the feathers, okay? I don't know why I have this feeling, but like, I want more bird monsters, and I feel like the aesthetic of the feathers lends really well into Monster High. Just like all of the werewolves with like their fur feel. It lends really well to the Monster High, like, aesthetic of fashion dolls, you know? Yeah, that is it for characters that I just want a doll of. Now we can move on to the monsters that I think deserve not only a doll, but also they deserve a starring role in a Monster High movie. A la Rebecca Steam. You know, she was the big reveal doll character for Friday Night Frights. The roller skating movie. That movie was wild. I think that one's my favorite Monster High movie, if I'm being honest. To start off, we're going to go to Africa, West Africa specifically, where we are going to pull Anasazi. I know how to say it in my head, but my tongue just can't make the... Yeah. Anyway, this is one of the most important characters in the West African folklore, according to Wikipedia. I didn't do much more research, but I do remember that, like, as a kid, Anasazi's stories were, like, some of the ones that made it into our textbooks, which was, like, that's kind of a big deal, you know? Anyway, Anasazi is a trickster spider, and he's usually, like, the protagonist of his stories, and I want Anasazi's daughter to join Monster High, and that would be great. I want her to have her own hype movie, like my thought is that the ghouls have to, like, take on a, like, big bad villain of some kind. I don't know. I'm just vaguely pitching ideas. But this villain is too powerful for them to actually defeat. So they instead, with the help of Anastasi's daughter, they use more trickster methods and use their own, like, different abilities in clever ways to defeat the more powerful villain. Through friendship! Friendship and trickster energy. That's what this movie is about. Mothman. Give me Mothman. And I'm not talking about Luna Matthews, okay? She was bad Mothman representation. Give me proper Mothman representation. She has more butterfly wings than moth wings, okay? Though, I guess they went more literal moth with their depiction of a moth monster. But I want Mothman monster, okay? Look at the statue. Like, Mothman isn't just a moth human person. Mothman is Mothman. Like, he's different. He does not actually look like a moth. Like, you have to, like, stretch it a little bit. Not gonna lie. But, like, give me Mothman's goth daughter who goes to Monster High, and in her story, she predicts that a great evil will befall Monster High, and the rest of the movie is them trying to prevent that great catastrophe from happening. And at the end, Mothman is all proud of his daughter because she did what he was trying to do with that bridge incident, and she did it successfully. She successfully stopped the disaster. Whereas Mothman, unfortunately, could only warn the people of the disaster that was to come. Anyway, give me proper Mothman representation. I refuse to accept Luna Matthews as a Mothman daughter, okay? Okay. Next up, we have the Qilin. Every ounce of my body wants to say Quillin. I am well aware that that is incorrect, so I've said it once to get it out of my system, and we'll be going back to the Qilin. So the Qilin is another Chinese dragon. However, instead of being like a serpentine dragon, this dragon is kind of like a goat dragon. They usually have a more stout body, and they have fur, and they have 2 horns. So, and I think that that is different enough from Jennifer Long being a classic dragon. I think it's different enough that she can be her own character. And, like, in my mind, I kind of want a movie where the ghouls go to Shanghai, which is the Monster High version of Shanghai, and I want them to have a whole adventure there. And I want for the Qilin's daughter to be their guide, and I think she would be a great addition. And then at the end, like a lot of the monsters from the movies, she will then join Monster High. I think that would be fun. And I think that would be a great, like, setting to also introduce Zhu Huang's daughter, or Zhu Baijia's daughter, the pig monster's daughter. They could also, that'd be a good time to also introduce the Feng Huan, the bird monster. It'd be a good time to, like, incorporate all of those other Chinese creatures that I've pulled, and incorporate them, and, like, they don't have to return to Monster High. They can just be in that one movie, and I think it would be very fun. Is this one really earlier, all the way back at the beginning, but the Naga is a snake person. So, person from the waist up, snake from the waist down. And they come from Hindu mythology, mostly. And the Hindu mythology version of the Naga has a cool cobra hood, and that's just rad. That is such a good idea. That is such a good design characteristic. The reason why I moved Naga up, because originally I had Naga as, like, maybe background, maybe one-off. I think she deserves her own full movie, where the Naga's treasure is taken, because Nagas are also guardians of treasures, kind of like a dragon and its hoard. So I want her treasure to be taken, and so she gets the ghouls together to help her get her treasure back, but at the end of the movie, she realizes she doesn't need that precious gem, those precious gems and the like, because the real treasure was the friends she made along the way. And then she goes to Monster High to hoard her friendship treasure, like the dragon that she secretly is inside. She must hoard the friendship. She will share the friendship, but it's hers. It's her friendship. You can't stop her. She'll make friends everywhere. And that's the real treasure. I think it would make a great movie. And then you can just have her in the background as a student at Monster High from then on. Lastly, I saved my favorite option for last. Give me Quetzalcoatl. I want the Mayan feathered serpent. I want its daughter at Monster High. She screams fashion. Really lean into that feathered look, like a feathered dragon. Like, take Jennifer's design and give it feathers. Give her wings even. I want it so bad. It'd be so cool. Quetzalcoatl is already really cool. Anyway, the flying serpent aspect is also really cool. Like, lean into that. I don't know what her movie would be, but I want it. Maybe have her and the ghouls save the world. I want it. Give it to me. Give it to me. Give me Monster High Quetzalcoatl. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching. Like this video if you liked it. Tell me what monsters you wish were in Monster High. And if I get like enough comments for them, or if I think of more, I'll do another part of this. I love talking about monsters, and I love Monster High I love Monster High so much. It was very formidable to my childhood. They're just so cool. I also got one of my friends into the doll collecting hobby. I've ruined her. Her bank account shall never recover.